EUFY Security. They have always been one of my favorite brands when it comes to Wi-Fi security cameras. But I've always kind of wished that they had a wired NVR system, because if you've watched the channel long enough, you know that's my favorite way to secure a home. Well, guess what? They now have a wired NVR system, or a POE system, and we're going to talk all about it. Let's go. What up, everybody? George Langabeer here. Today we are talking about a new wired NVR security camera system from EUFY Security. These systems are also known as PoE systems, power over Ethernet, or wired systems. I'm really excited about this. I've wanted EUFY to come out with a system like this for a long time because I've always loved their Wi-Fi cameras. And I want to see how it stacks up to the competition, like Reolink. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to unbox the system. I'm going to talk about setup and installation. I'm going to talk price and specs. I'm going to talk about using the system with the EUFY app. I'm going to talk about the NVR interface itself. I'm going to give you my full review, pros and cons. I want to thank EUFY for sending me the system, and this is a sponsored video. So they are sponsoring this video, but I don't really care, because sponsored or not, I'm always going to tell you like it is. I promise you that. All right. Let's get started with the unboxing. All right, here we go. Here's the NVR Security Systems S4 Max, 8 channels NVR with 4 PoE bullet PTZ cameras. Let's get this sucker open. 3 main boxes, one of them is the NVR. So there you go, you got a couple USB ports. You've got your HDMI and you've got your PoE ports, power over Ethernet. Those ports are not only gonna give you video, but also power. That's your part of your power cable. Got an HDMI cable, so you can use any computer monitor or TV with this NVR. This is the brick for your power supply. It comes with a USB mouse. I went ahead and put a wireless mouse on mine. Got an Ethernet cord for the internet connection. You are going to want to hook this up to your router to be able to use it with the app and see it remotely. Then in this other box, we've got the mounts for each camera. You've got the weatherproof connector. You can put that over the cables to make sure you don't get any water in connectors. And here you go. Here's the included cables that EUFY includes. You've got your mounting screws and anchors for each camera. Some of your documentation. These are your templates. So you've got a template for each camera, mounting template. You've got your quick start guide, and you've got a decal that you can put on your window saying you're monitored by EUFY Security. In the next box, you've got the cameras. So you can see the 3-lens design. So this camera would just slide on the mount, and then you've got 2 security screws that you just tighten to keep it on the mount. All right, and then what EUFY sent me here is 4 cameras. So I've got all 4 here. And there you go. All the contents of the box. All right, let's talk about setup and installation. For setup, you're going to get yourself the EUFY app if you haven't already. You're going to sign up for an account. Then you're going to plug in the NVR. Now, I recommend hooking it up to a monitor, because then there's a little setup wizard and it walks you through it step by step to set up the NVR on a monitor. And then you're going to add the NVR to the app. You're going to go to add a device. You're going to find the NVR listed there. You're going to add it. You're going to scan the QR code on the bottom of the NVR. Then the app walks you through the rest. Very easy. You can have that done in under 10 minutes. Now, as far as installation of the cameras, keep in mind this is a power over Ethernet system. So you're going to have a wire running from the camera back to the NVR. Now, EUFY does include some cables, so keep that in mind. You don't need to go out and buy some unless you really want to, but it can be Cat 5 or Cat 6, but you are going to have that cable. It's not as easy as just plugging a Wi-Fi camera into power or using a solar panel. This is a little more complicated. So when you're going to do a system like this, plan it out accordingly. But once you have the cables ran, then you're just mounting the camera outside wherever you're going to put it. There's a little mount that's included. Now you can use this on a corner, a pole, or a wall or a ceiling. Flexible as far as the mounting. Just a couple screws for the mount. Then the camera clicks onto that. And then there's a couple security screws that keep the camera secure to the mount. But then you're good to go. So the most complicated part will be getting the cable from the camera to the NVR. So again, plan that out accordingly. As a guy that's been doing this a long time, you want to worry about aesthetics and how it all makes sense. You want to make sure you have a long enough cable to get to wherever you're putting the NVR. Consider all those different things when you're installing this camera. But as far as the NVR, you're just going to pick a central location in your house where you can run all these cables. So keep all that in mind. All right, let's talk price and specs. Now, again, this is the EUFY POE NVR security system, and the one that I'm testing here is the S4 Max. They do have some other POE cameras, but again, I've got the S4 Max. And as tested, I have the NVR and 4 cameras, and the current price is $1,299.99. Now, the cameras are a 16 megapixel triple lens bullet style. The upper lens is a 4K wide angle lens that combined gives you 122 degrees field of view. The lower 2K PTZ lens gives you an 8 times telephoto zoom and a 360 degree pan and a 70 degree tilt. The camera with the pan tilt zoom includes auto tracking and group tracking, and it can do that up to 164 feet away. So when it finds an object, it will track them up to that distance. That's pretty awesome. You have live cross-camera tracking, so if you've got your cameras positioned properly, one camera will pick up where the other one leaves off. So they will work in sync to track the movement in real time. We've got no-go zones and alerts. You have a smart video search using keywords. So for example, if I put in George, because it does have facial recognition where you can name different people's faces. So if I put in George, it would show me all the events that have me in it. Or if I search red shirt or red car, it would bring up all those different types of events. We have 3 different night vision options. We have straight light, we have spotlights. Both of those can do color night vision. And then we also have black and white IR. So let's do a demo of that. Let's start with the straight light. So here you go. Now out on my terrace, I say this in every video, we've got the city lights in the background, but my actual terrace is pitch black. So here's straight light. You can see me walking around, and we got the color night vision. And then let's look at the night vision just using the spotlights. So here you go. Here's an example of that. Again, pitch black on my terrace without these lights. And then we've got the black and white IR night vision. So here you go. Here's an example in black and white, but it's just really nice to have these 3 different options. And I can tell you right now, the color night vision on these cameras is impressive. The cameras have an IP65 weather rating. We've got 2-way audio, so you can hear through the camera, and then they can hear you speak through the camera. And if you know me, you know it's a sticking point that I always think the speakers on these cameras suck. But let me give you a little demo on this one, and we'll see how it does. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear me? How is the clarity? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. How is the clarity? Can you hear me? Testing, testing, testing. These cameras also have an active deterrent feature. So not only can you talk through the camera, but you also have a siren if you want to use that. And then you also, instead of the spotlights, can use red and blue flashing lights, which you can see here. But that way you can scare away an intruder. Moving on to the NVR. Now I am currently testing an 8-channel NVR, meaning that it'll hold 8 cameras. They also have a 16-channel model. I am testing it with a 2 terabyte hard drive, but you can actually expand this up to 16 terabytes. The NVR offers 24/7 recording, or you can do event recording. And it's plug and play PoE, meaning plug and play power over Ethernet. That means the NVR itself is a PoE switch. So again, you're just running the cable straight from the camera to the NVR, and it's not only giving you video, but also power. So all you have to do is plug in the NVR as far as a power source. You can do the NVR on a display like I'm doing here. That can be anything that's HDMI, so a computer monitor or a TV. You can also see it on the EUFY app, and you can also use the web portal that EUFY offers. It works with Lady A from Amazon and Google Assistant. Now EUFY's got a couple other features that they're going to offer at a later date, like a Wi-Fi module that'll allow you to use EUFY's other Wi-Fi cameras with this NVR. They're also going to offer a long-range module, which will give you dual band 2.4 and 5 gigahertz up to 1.25 miles away, which if that works, man, that'll be awesome. All right, that's price and specs. Let's talk a little bit about the NVR interface. All right, here you go. Here's my home screen with my cameras. Down here, I could toggle through if I had more. So there's my other one. Again, I've got 4 cameras. If I click on one, there I go. In the bottom left, I can control my siren or my alarm. I can control the lights from there. I can also toggle on or off the audio. On the bottom right, I can switch the view. I can do the AI tracking, image quality, and I can go to the settings of the camera. Top left, I've got the name. I can go to playback. And if I did a USB drive, I could go ahead and do a screenshot. If I go to the movable camera, so basically I just clicked on that to switch between the fixed and the movable. Here's my PTZ controls. And then again, I got the same controls at the bottom of the screen, but I'm just toggling between fixed and movable. Let's go back, and you can change your different views down here if you wanted to. At the bottom, the top, you can do a screen lock. You can do video cycling, where it'll cycle through the cameras. You can go to live setup. So here I can drop and drag the different order of the cameras if I wanted to, automatically add a camera. So if I plug one in, it'll actually show up right here. And again, I could switch the views. I can go full screen. At the top, I've got its administrative features so that you can do different users on this NVR. So if you want to give different permissions for different people, you could do that. Here's another way I can go to playback. So I can select the camera. I can select the date. I've got my scroll down here. I can toggle on and off the audio. I can download a clip. I can delete the clip. I can go full screen. So again, I would change the date right here. I could also zoom in the image if I wanted to. Up on the top left, if I go to event, this is where I could do the keyword search. So if I just wanted to search George, it would show up everything that's George down here. Basically any keyword you can think of, and that's pretty awesome. And if I go to settings, I've got equipment. Here's my different cameras. Gives you different information, tells you my hard drive, how many cameras I've got, Wi-Fi connected cameras, if I was using the Wi-Fi module, how many are online, how many are offline, then information about each camera. I've got my alerts. This is much like the EUFY app. Got faces recognized, all of the motion, pets, humans, vehicles, device activity. I can update the cameras, urgency. Got some different options here. If I go to system, this is where I can change the date and time, your firmware information and stuff like that. Under information, here's my storage information, display information, local account. I have a log of all the different types of these different functions were used with the NVR. And I've got my faces. Right now, I've only registered my own. But there you go. There's a lot more features on this thing that I could really deep dive into, but this video would take forever. But these are the basics, but I love the interface of this NVR. All right, now let's talk about using the system with the EUFY app. All right, going to the EUFY app, here's my home screen. You can see my cameras and my NVR. At the very bottom, we've got an LTE camera in my storage unit, but that's separate. I did a video on that, check it out. But let's stick with the NVR. Let's go to one of my Skyline cameras. So here you go. I've muted the sound, but normally I could hear through this camera. At the top, I've got my movable image, which is my pan tilt zoom lens. Again, this has got 3 lenses. The bottom, I've got my fixed lens. So that's just a stationary shot. But on both these lenses, it will still auto track you, which is awesome. Now, on the top right of the image, I've got my full screen icon, if I wanted to do that. Right below the images, I've got 1x and 3x. That's the zoom. If I hit 3x, that top image will zoom in automatically. I'm going to go back to 1x. Below the images, I've got my main options. I can hit record, which is a video clip. I hit it once, it'll start recording. Hit it again, it'll stop. I've got a screenshot, which is the scissors. That's just a still image of whatever's on the frame. I can hit talk to talk through the camera. I've got my pan tilt features. And if I go left and right, you can see it's very fluent and very precise. A lot of times on cameras like these, it's horrible. You hit it and it's very delayed, or it goes way too far, and then it just doesn't do what you want it to do. This one does what you want it to do, and I love that. All right, then you can mute the sound, which I have muted right now. If I unmuted it, you would hear through the camera. You can do your PTZ linkage. You've got AI tracking, which it'll track the image that's on the screen. You've got playback, so if you go to playback, you can do the movable camera or the fixed camera. You can change your date, and then you've got your scroll to go through your different images. You can download a clip, you can share it, you can donate the clip, you can delete it, or you can hit record and record a clip. So that's playback. You can turn your spotlights on or off right there. You can control your different night vision. You've got standard, spotlights, or infrared. And then if you go all the way over, you've got a 360 round look where the camera will do a 360 spin. All right, so then if you go above the image, you can turn on your alarm or your siren there. You've got a little icon which will take you to the NVR and the multi-screen images. So all 4 cameras are there. Let's go to the main settings of the camera. So there we go. I named this Skyline 1. I've got my motion detection. You can follow global settings. That means that it'll follow the settings that I set in the NVR, so it'll do the same settings for each camera. I've got that set. So basically I set all this up in the NVR and then it applied to all my cameras. You can see your detection response. You can do human recognize, humans, vehicle, pet, and all other motion. You've got a sensitivity slider, and you can also do activity zones. You've got your preset positions. That's where you can set those up. You've got your pan tilt settings. You can do auto cruise, turn that on and off. You've got AI tracking. So again, that's following the object. Bullet dome integration. The fixed and movable cameras work together to provide more comprehensive coverage. So that's where one will pick up where the other one leaves off. You can do your pan and tilt speed and screen gesture control. You've got your light settings. You can turn the lights on or off, and there's your brightness. Now again, these can get intense, so if you've got one maybe shining at a neighbor, you might want to turn that down a bit. You can do always on. You can turn that on and off. You can do motion activated, so that's motion activated illumination. You've got your brightness, timer for the lights. That's how long the lights will stay on when it gets an event. And then you also have an automatic schedule, sunset to sunrise, or you can customize it. The very bottom, you've got light mode. You can do regular lighting, or you can do the red and blue alarm light. So that way, when it sees an event, it'll flash the red and blue lights and scare the crap out of somebody. Video settings, you can do continuous or event-based recording. You've got your recording quality, recording time. So you can do 24/7 or you can do event recording. You've got event recording settings. You've got your night vision controls. You can do spotlight or street light or infrared. Street light is pretty awesome. It's really that true color night vision. You've got spotlights where it's just using the spotlight, still awesome color night vision, and black and white IR, which is black and white. And you can set any of the three as your default. You can turn the watermark on and off, your time on and off, and your logo on and off. You've got your orientation, so if you need to flip the image because the camera's upside down for some reason. You got a frequency setting. You can turn the HDR off and on, and in that starlight setting, it turns the HDR off automatically. You can do privacy zones, auto settings. You can toggle on whether or not you want the microphone on. You can do audio recording. You've got your speaker and you've got your speaker volume. Here you can control your notifications. You can do text only, text first, then thumbnail, include the thumbnail. You've got your interval time and motion alerts. General, you've got the name of the camera, your status LED. You can turn that on and off. You've got your storage. It'll tell you if it's local storage. It'll tell you what's going on with the NVR. You've got a mounting guide and about device. You can share your device, you can share your thoughts, you can remove the device. Now let's just go back really quick to the NVR. This is the NVR option specifically. You've got your face manager. There you can do all the faces that it's recognized. You can manually add a face if you want to. You've got your motion detection. You can do human recognize, human, vehicle, pet, all other motion. You've got your storage. You can see what I've done. I've used 1.47 terabytes of my 2 terabytes. And I've got my video archive. If I go to the top right, I've got the settings. Again, I've got my motion detection. I've got the system notification. You can do switch modes by schedule, switch modes by app, switch modes by geofencing. Share a device, share your thoughts, and restart your device. So that's using the NVR and the cameras with the EUFY app. All right, let's talk my review. What do I think of the S4 Max, this POE system from EUFY? Let's talk pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. I think the NVR has a premium build. I really like the NVR and all of its features and the interface. I really can't say enough about it. I'm pretty impressed. Another pro is the AI features, like being able to search by a keyword and how accurate it was, and it really narrows down all those false alarms so you don't have to deal with a bunch of unnecessary footage when you're looking for something. It's awesome that the system offers 24/7 recording. However, I will tell you to plan accordingly system-wise because I have 2 terabytes, 4 cameras, and I'm only getting a few days of footage as far as 24/7 goes. So if you're gonna do 24/7, I'd probably at least get 8 terabytes because I always like to try to get people a month worth of footage. And to do that, you're gonna want at least 8 terabytes, but keep in mind, you can go up to 16 terabytes. I'm really impressed with the night vision on these cameras. You've got the infrared, which is black and white. You've got the spotlights, you got the street light. All 3 options are awesome. I think the only cameras I've ever tested that have better night vision than this are the Alibi security cameras that I've done videos on, so check those out. But EUFY, man, in your little price point, this night vision is impressive and blows away anything else that I've seen other than like Alibi security, like I said. Awesome to have 3 lenses, so you've got the pan and tilt and the zoom lens, you've got the fixed lens, both of them do the auto tracking, so it's really nice to have those options, and they did a really good job with these lenses. And lo and behold, the 2-way audio on this camera is decent. You know, you can really hear through the camera very well, but even the speaker. Now again, you're never gonna be able to yell across your yard with one of these cameras, but this one you can get pretty loud and it was very clear and concise with no delay. So I give that a definite pro. All right, let's talk some cons. And this first one's a little nitpicky on this particular system, but I will tell you in general, it drives me nuts when you've got color night vision or black and white night vision, and the closer a person gets to a lens, the more washed out they get. On some cameras, you can't see them at all when they're right up on the lens. And what's the point? You want to be able to see an intruder at night. That's kind of the entire purpose of night vision on these cameras. Now, a lot of cameras, they get washed out several feet away. This camera, they just got a little washed out right up on the lens. And when I say they, I'm talking me, because I was the one testing this. But I had to be right up on the lens on these cameras. So I got to give them the nod, because don't get me wrong, the night vision on these cameras is beautiful, but one little con, little washed out right up on the lens. Another minor con is it can get a little expensive if you really want to do the 24/7 recording and do it right. They sent me 2 terabytes. It's getting me 5 to 7 days, and that's fine. But as a professional, I always try to get people up to a month. And if you want to do that and go 8 terabytes or beyond, it can get expensive. I like the premium feel of the NVR. My only nitpicky thing is on the cameras. I think EUFY would say these are enterprise grade. I'm a professional. I'm used to dealing with things like alibi security, like you've heard me talk about. Those are professional grade. I can't call these professional grade just because the cameras are plastic. And that's not a huge deal, but me as a professional, when I'm talking professional grade or enterprise, I'm talking about metal housings, and it's just not there. So I'm going to give that another minor con, but at this price point, I don't even know if that's a con. So con-wise, I'm kind of reaching because I'm very, very impressed with the system, especially for the price. 4 cameras and the NVR, 2 terabytes at $1299.99. You know, I was just talking about professional grade or enterprise with alibi. Yeah, that's going to be a little more expensive. So at this price point, man, I really have no complaints. Now, this isn't so much a con, but more of a word of caution. The spotlights on these cameras, they can get pretty intense. Now, keep in mind, you can adjust the spotlights, and you can go from 100% down to 0%, anywhere in between. Now, I had to dial them down here because I live in an apartment, but even at 20%, which is where I had them, the night vision was flawless. But I've been doing this a long time, and I've installed thousands of systems for people, and I can tell you that neighbors can get pissy when you got spotlights looking at them, and they can complain and all that good stuff. So just be careful. Now, if you've got this in the backyard where no neighbors can see it, crank those suckers up. But if they're anywhere looking at a neighbor, just keep that in mind and maybe turn them down a little bit. The night vision is still great either way. All right, that's it. That's my review of the EUFY S4 Max POE NVR security camera system. What do you think? I'm pretty damn impressed. So in the world of security camera systems, I've always told you that NVR systems are the way to go. I would put this in the category of Reolink and EUFY. Right in that sweet spot between the cheap drug dealer cameras, Lorex, Night Owl, Swan, and then the professional grade stuff like my favorite, Alibi Security. This is pretty damn close to Alibi. In fact, I would say it's closer than EUFY or Reolink. If I had the option between this EUFY system, Reolink, and EUFY, I would take this EUFY system hands down. 100% hands down. I really love the NVR interface, and even though the cameras aren't metal housing like some of Reolink's are, I would still put this above Reolink. And EUFY just pisses me off, saying they're professional grade when they're not. Man, that's a whole nother story, but I would put this above both of those. So they've got that new sweet spot. They own that sweet spot right below professional grade. So if you're a homeowner looking on a budget for an NVR system and you want something quality, this is your system. But I'd love to know your thoughts on EUFY in general. Were you as excited as I was when you heard that they were going to do an NVR system? Because I was pretty stoked, and I'm so happy it lived up to my expectations. But yeah, let me know about all the above in the comments. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for the support. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Until the next video, peace and love, my friends.